Hi go-getters, today we are diving into something that many of you have been asking. How to source production machines for manufacturing businesses in Africa. Yeah, I am pretty aware of the fact that a lot of content creators are going to want me. Yeah, but you all know there's nothing I can do for you, right? Yes, these are secrets that they give you only in ebooks or sell through courses, masterclasses, and whatnot. But like I promised in this video that you might as well watch after this one, I am going to be giving it to you today for free. Now the thing is, the video is going to be too long, alright, because it is quite compact and full of information, so I can't exhaust it in one video. So we are going to be making a part 1 and a part 2. So in the part 1, I am going to be giving you the top accessible manufacturing sectors that you could actually pick from. And in part 2, I am going to be giving you practical advice on machinery acquisition and also brief you on shipping logistics and important considerations, alright? And that's not all. I am going to go as far as giving you financing options for diaspora investors. So if this is something that interests you, make sure to watch this part 1 and the part 2 unfailingly, alright? That said, let's proceed with our video. But before we do that, if you're new to the channel, my name is Elvin Jake and I have taken it as a personal mission to make sure that you attain your financial independence as soon as possible. So that's why I would invite you to go to our playlist and try to catch up on everything we've done there so far. And it might also interest you, if you are new, to know that we've got an investment club that you can join, alright? So without further ado, let's proceed. Now there's something I want you to have at the back of your mind. Did you know that while Africa has 17% of the world's population, it contributes just 3% of global manufacturing output? That gap isn't just a challenge, it's an opportunity waiting for visionary entrepreneurs like you, my go-getters. So I want you to look at it this way. Imagine being part of the generation that transforms Africa from a continent that primarily exports raw materials to a continent that produces finished products that compete on the global stage. The potential is massive, and today I am going to take you through exactly how to take the first steps. So in this part 1, we are breaking down everything you need to know about sourcing machinery for the most accessible manufacturing sectors, from essential equipment to cost, reliable suppliers, and success stories from people just like you who've already made the leap. But before we dive in, I want to draw your attention to something that most people don't realize about manufacturing in Africa that completely changes the game. The barriers to entry have never been lower than they are right now. With the African Continental Free Trade Area creating the market of 1.3 billion people, government incentives for local manufacturing, and new financing options specifically for diaspora investors, the timing couldn't be better. So let's get into it. For I believe that by the end of this video, you would have a roadmap for turning your manufacturing dreams into reality. So let's start with the most accessible manufacturing sectors. So in Africa, especially for the diaspora investors, I've identified 6 sectors. But the good thing is that they've got relatively low barriers to entry, but with high growth potential. So number 1 on our list is definitely going to be the food processing industry. I started with this because it is one of the most straightforward manufacturing sectors to start with in Africa. From fruit juice production to cereal manufacturing, this sector has enormous potential because it addresses basic needs. And aside from that, it actually adds value to locally grown agricultural products. Now for the essential machinery you need to get started in the food processing industry, we've got the food mixers and blenders of industrial grade, obviously, that is large capacity. Next, you're going to be needing packaging machines, which I've made a video on it on the channel already that I am going to be pinning here, alright? You are also going to be needing pasteurizers for juice and dairy. You are going to be needing grinding equipment, storage tanks, and finally quality testing equipment. Yeah, those are the main 5 machines you will need for food processing. All right, now for the cost, entry-level setup can start anywhere between $15,000 to $30,000, while a professional operation might require anywhere between $50,000 to $200,000, depending on the scale and specialization. Let's now go to the icing of the cakes: suppliers. Now, the first place is China, right? Alibaba has got numerous suppliers like the Guangzhou machinery that you could check out, right? But the thing with Alibaba is that you could get scammed easily, all right? So there's this video that I once made on the channel to guide you on what to do before outsourcing machines, either on Alibaba or another sector that I talked about, which is more reliable and cost effective. You could check out the video, all right? Now, the second place is India. They've got the Food Processing Equipment Manufacturers Association that you could reach out to in order for you to get quality machines, right? Now, bear in mind that whenever I make these videos, it's up to you to also do your due diligence before taking action. Always have that at the back of your mind, all right? What I am doing is just guiding you. Now, when we come to Africa, if you want reliable suppliers, you could always reach out to the Africa Today team to help you, all right? We don't really have those machines manufactured here, all right? We are still doing our research to come up with local manufacturers that we could actually propose their machines to you. But as of now, we are still in the digging. But the thing is, we actually help you get those machines from China or India, all right? And at times from Turkey, depending on the machines. So don't hesitate to always reach out to us at africatodayinfo@gmail.com for assistance. But have it at the back of your mind that you are going to be paying for those services, all right? Because some people do reach out and they are maybe surprised or they shy away when my assistant lets them know that they need to pay for those services, all right? So please, if you aren't ready to pay for those services, don't reach out, because our email is often so full that our assistant can't really cater for everyone, and we've got people complaining that they write to us and we don't respond, all right? So please help us in that direction to reduce the bulk of emails that come to us by simply not emailing us if you aren't ready to monetarily get involved. I thought of making that clear to save both parties time. You know, time is money, right? Now, during our research, another place that I noticed within Africa that you could actually get some food processing machines is in South Africa, all right? There are these manufacturers called, I think, Marel Food Processing or something. Yeah, you could actually get some equipment from them. So those are places you could go to for your machinery, right? But here's something crucial you need to know before placing your orders. Always verify that the machinery you're buying complies with your target country's food safety standards. Each African country has different requirements, all right? And failing to meet them can result in delays or even complete rejection of your products in the markets. Now, I also think that it's important for you to be aware of some of the common pitfalls that most entrepreneurs or beginners do fall in. One thing you need to do is understanding the power requirements of the area, right? A lot of African locations experience power shortages. Unstable electricity is the order of the day in some parts of Africa. Now, another issue also is the water quality and treatment cost in some areas, right? You need to take that into consideration. So another mistake is purchasing machinery without proper training support, all right? And another thing people often make is overlook maintenance requirements. Yes, these are the things you definitely need to consider before placing your orders. There's a case of Devani in Kenya who actually succeeded, all right? After 15 years in the UK, he came home and started with a 25,000 investment in a food processing equipment. And today his company typically processes over 5,000 tons of fruits annually. He's now selling products across East Africa. And what made his success? He started small, focused on consistent quality, and also reinvested profit in order to expand his operations. That quickly leads us to Our next sector here, which is something I talked about recently, the textile manufacturing. The beauty of textile manufacturing is that you can actually start small and scale as you grow. With Africa's rich textile heritage and growing, there's huge potential to create products with both local and international appeal. Now for this sector, here are the essential machinery you're going to be needing. Industrial sewing machine, cutting tables and equipment, embroidery machines. This one is optional depending on what your designs are all about. You would be needing a pattern making software, and you are also going to be needing quality control and inspection equipment. Now, talking about the approximate cost of this investment, a small workshop can start from, let's say, $10,000 to about $20,000. Now, mid-size operations generally range from about $50,000 to $100,000 investments. Now, for a large-scale textile plant investment, you will need from $200,000 and above. Now, when it comes to suppliers, the reliable suppliers for this sector would be, first of all, Japan. Yes, you've got a Jugi and the brother company that really offer quality machines, all right? And hey, this video is not a paid promotion, all right? I am sincerely giving you the best, all right? Talking here, I've got a brother sewing machine in my home, all right? And I've been treated with a lot of stylists and also wig making business people. I have got to understand that the brother company actually produces one of the best sewing machines out there. The one I've got, for instance, has got up to 27 different stitches. So you can imagine what you could do with such a machine. And that's a machine that I got directly from the factory, and I got it for about $600, and that was, I think, 4 or 5 years back, all right? So they've actually got quite a bit, but that's for a small workshop, all right? It's actually for a single person. But if you're going for a middle-sized or large-scale production, you would definitely need bigger capacities. Now, the second places where you could actually get suppliers is obviously China. Now, China is for more affordable options. So you could target places like Shenzhen and GZ Trading. Now, if we come to local supply, here in Africa, you've got places like Kenya, Ethiopia, and South Africa, where you could actually get second-hand equipment from closing factories. Now, here are some of the pitfalls people do make in this industry, all right? People often choose machinery that are too advanced for local maintenance capabilities. So this is something you should take seriously, and you should also try to understand skilled labor requirements in this sector. Another mistake is fabric sourcing, all right? Before you invest in such a machinery, you need to have sourced your fabric already. You aren't going to invest in a machinery before running helter-skelter to get information on where to get fabric and whatnot. And as I always say, when it comes to the fabric industry, the best thing you could do nowadays as an African is to blend traditional craftsmanship with modern production techniques in order to come up with something that could be acceptable to a large amount of people. Now, while you are pondering on that, deciding whether textile industry is for you or not, there is something more important to consider, and that has to do with construction materials. Yes, if you're a smart goal-getter, you will know that now in Africa, everyone is embarking on construction, all right? People are building their homes, their commercial buildings, and whatnot. So this is a sector that can never fail. Yes, you need to understand that there are even housing shortages in a lot of cities in Africa. So companies that are actually manufacturing construction materials are perfectly positioned. Now, for this sector, the essential machinery you are going to be needing are obviously brick or block molding machines. And talking about that, I made a video on the channel where I talked to you about the automatic block making machine, all right? That's the order of the day right now. So people are done with the manual machines that are so tedious and all the like. So I would advise you consider the automatic ones instead. Now, we've also got things like concrete mixers, roof tile production equipment, metal forming machines, that is for roofing sheets, testing equipment for quality control, and finally packaging machinery. So for the cost with small scale operations, you could begin with something like $20,000 to $40,000. Now for medium scale, you will need something like $50,000 to $150,000. And when it comes to large scale plants, you would need about $200,000 to start. Now for our suppliers, you've got suppliers in China, right? And I would recommend the Linefuda machinery. And you can also get them from India, that is the build-made industry. And Turkey also, you are going to target the Vest machinery. Now back to Africa, you've got places like South Africa, where you can target engineering firms. Now, before you start looking at suppliers, there's a critical factor that could actually save you thousands. Consider machinery that can use locally available materials as inputs. I am referring here to, for instance, machines that can actually incorporate recycled materials or agricultural waste into construction products. For that's not only going to reduce waste, but it is going to reduce cost and can also qualify for special environmental incentives and grants. Now, some of the pitfalls in this sector is the fact that people do underestimate the space requirements for storage. That is the material storage, right? And another mistake is that people often don't account for heavy transportation costs, which finally weighs down on them. Another thing is that some people go ahead to invest while underlooking local building codes and certification requirements. Another mistake is that some people do go and order or choose machines that require imported raw materials. And once they bring them to Africa, they are stranded, right? And when you are dealing with machines that you need to constantly be importing your raw materials, it actually makes things more complicated for you. So that's why I would advise you go for machinery that accommodates local raw materials. There's this guy, Kwabena Danso, who actually returned also from the UK, where he was working in a construction company and decided to come and invest in his home country, Ghana. So he started Ghana Bamboo with equipment to process bamboo into construction materials. Can you imagine that? For someone who started with just $30,000 in machinery, his company now supplies eco-friendly materials to developers across Africa. And what was his secret? He identified a gap in the market for sustainable materials that could be entirely sourced and manufactured locally. And that's where the bamboo idea came in. Talking about bamboo, I've got a video where I detailedly covered bamboo cultivation in Africa. So if this is something you would love to know more about, please check out this video that I am going to be linking in the comment section as well. Now, you might be thinking that these sectors are too traditional. If you are looking for something with faster growth potential, let me show you this next business opportunity: plastic recycling and products. Yes, that's what is booming in Africa right now. With environmental concerns growing globally, plastic recycling and manufacturing offers both profit potential and positive environmental impact. Africa generates millions of tons of plastic waste annually, much of which could be converted into valuable products. Now, for this sector, here are the essential machinery you would need. You've got the plastic sorting equipment, you've got the washing and drying lines, you've got the crushing and the grinding machines, the extruders, injection molding machines, and blowing molding equipment. That's for bottles, right? So for basic recycling operations, you are going to be needing something like $30,000 to $60,000 to start. Now, a comprehensive setup for making end products, you will need about $80,000 to $250,000. And that would depend on the capacity and the product complexity. Now, for the suppliers, you can get them from India. We've got the Rajo Engineers, the Zhangjiang City Bank Co. Ltd. You can also get some of these machines from Europe, that is Germany and Italian manufacturers. And also you could get them regionally from countries like Egypt and South Africa. So this business is actually one of the most lucrative, all right? And there's this company in Nigeria, the Recyclers, which started with basic sorting and processing equipment of about $25,000. And now the company processes tons of waste plastic into pellets sold to manufacturers. And with such a business, they are not only creating jobs, but they are also cleaning communities. And the second was simply building strong community collection networks before scaling production capacities proved crucial. So this business is definitely a treasure, but there's something you must know about plastic recycling that many people overlook. Regulations around plastic are changing rapidly across Africa. Many countries are implementing extended producer responsibility laws that actually create opportunity for recycling businesses. So staying ahead of these regulatory changes can actually give you competitive advantage. The next sector we are going to talk about beauty. Soap and cosmetic industry. Personal care products present an excellent entry point into manufacturing with relatively simple processes and machinery requirements compared to other sectors. Now, for the essential machinery in this sector, you're going to be needing, obviously, blenders, mixers, heating equipment, filling and packaging tanks, labeling equipment, quality testing apparatus, and storage tanks. Now, for small batch productions, you can start even with about $8,000 to $15,000. And for mid-sized operations, let's talk about $25,000 to $60,000. And for large-scale facilities, you're going to be needing a minimum of $100,000. Now, for suppliers, you've got China, the Guangzhou Light Industrial Equipment, you've got India, the Sri Pharma Machinery, and also adapted equipment from South Africa and Kenya. Now, from Europe, you could get used equipment from cosmetic companies in Italy and France. Now, some of the mistakes people to make in this industry is choosing equipment that are incompatible with local ingredients. And a lot of people also do overlook formulation testing requirements. And last but not the least, make sure to understand regulatory requirements for cosmetics. Now, you might be asking yourself which of these sectors actually offers a great return on investment. And the truth is, the answer might surprise you. Agro processing equipment manufacturing, yes. This sector is gold. One of the fastest growing manufacturing sectors is actually making the machines that help process agricultural products. Think of it as selling pickers and shovels during a gold rush. Now, for this sector, here are the essential machinery. You've got the metal cutting and forming equipment. You've got the welding machinery, the assembly tools. You've got the testing equipment and the painting or finishing equipment. Now, last but not the least, you've got the CNC machine. Now, for your operation cost, a basic workshop, you are going to need for your setup about $25,000 to $50,000. For a medium scale facility, you're going to be needing about $80,000 to $150,000. Now, for an advanced manufacturing, you're going to be needing about $200,000 plus. Now, suppliers for such, you are going to be targeting places like Japan, all right? Now, for precision equipment, we've got the Makino and the Mazak that you could get them from. And also you could get them from China, obviously, right? For China, you're going to target the Shandong Weather Heavy Industries. Now, another place you could get it from is Germany. Yes, you could get used equipment from industrial auctions. And at the regional level, that is in Africa, you could get machines from South Africa and Egypt. Now, one of the mistakes that people do make in this sector is often overlooking intellectual property considerations. Another mistake is that people choose overly specialized equipment with limited applications. Now, there's this guy who actually succeeded with this in Ghana and is doing great. I am referring to Answer and Profi. So what he did, he started with a small workshop, right? He was making simple cassava processing equipment. And he came up with this idea after identifying that imported machines were too expensive and not adapted to local conditions. With initial equipment investment of just $35,000, his company Tractor now makes various agricultural processing machines specifically designed for African farmers. His key insight was recognizing that adapted, serviceable equipment was more valuable than high-tech solutions that couldn't be maintained locally. Now, before you make any decision on which sector to pursue, there's something crucial you need to know. And that's exactly what I am going to be doing in part 2 of this video, alright? I don't want this video to be too long and hope to see you on my next one, where I am going to be giving you practical advice on machinery acquisition and many more. So if you actually found value in this video, please go get us endeavor to like this video and share it to as many people as possible, alright? And also endeavor to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, so that you don't miss out on the next part. That's it. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for part 2.